Hello again. I decided to film in the garden because it's quite a nice day. All the signs are that sometime in the late summer or early autumn, this country will be gripped by an emergency which threatens the National Health Service. Interest is waning in the war in Ukraine, and even the most gung-ho British supporters of NATO are growing tired of seeing Boris Johnson cavorting around thousands of miles from Britain and doing his impersonation of Churchill. People are getting very anxious about things like rising prices, strikes, gas bills, and all those other things which the government seems to be not all that interested in talking about. What could possibly be better than another national emergency in which the NHS can be saved? Again, if that doesn't take folks' minds off the cost of living, I don't know what will. I'm sure we will watch with a little suspicion as the number of COVID infections rises due to this or that variant or subvariant. We are told that the number of new cases is now becoming greater than it has ever been this year. The odd thing is, though, we are not told if anybody is actually dying of or even with this new version, nor are we told how many people are in intensive care with it. I think we need a little more information before we start panicking. Fortunately, there are two other viruses to menace us with. One is, of course, monkeypox, of which there are now around 30 new cases a day in Britain. How it has become endemic in this way in Britain is an interesting point, but it has. There have now been over 1,000 confirmed cases in Britain alone, but only 5 of them are women. Whatever you do, though, for goodness sake, don't suggest that it's a sexually transmitted disease. We don't want to incite any homophobia. The real illness, which is very likely to strike in September or October, is, of course, influenza. For reasons at which one is only able to guess, there were literally no cases of flu at all during most of the COVID pandemic. Not one, for months on end, which many people found less than plausible. However, a large epidemic of flu is now predicted to strike in the late summer, and it's already being said that this will put enormous pressure on the NHS. Cancelled surgery, longer waiting lists, and so on. Combined with a new wave of COVID and the monkeypox crisis, this has all the makings of a first-class emergency, and a nice juicy emergency is just what Boris Johnson and his chums are desperately in need of. In fact, this would be perfect. There's already talk of industrial action by doctors, which might become a reality in a few months. Just imagine if that coincided with a health crisis. It could hardly be better for the government. A clear set of villains there to blame for everything. Perfect. Then too, we are due another bout of vaccination drama. The efforts to get all the primary school children in the country vaccinated against COVID are running into pretty strong opposition from people who are normally quite keen on vaccination. Levels of childhood vaccinations are pretty low generally in some areas, and now that polio seems to be hovering in the background once more, there are concerns that children are definitely vaccinated against this too. The flu vaccine will have to be ready early this year, and there is also talk of a vaccine for monkeypox. My suspicion is, between the government frantically whipping up a panic about the NHS collapsing under the strain of patients who have contracted various viruses, and on the other side those who are bitterly opposed to vaccines beginning to cut up rough, our minds will be thoroughly distracted from the real things that affect us. Stuff like inflation. Autumn promises to be a very entertaining time indeed.